Well, good morning, everyone. This is Jesse on Fire on Monday morning, and I have quite the video for you guys today. So I feel like the issue that we have been facing with everything related to Charlie Kirk is that everybody's asking questions and no one is providing any concrete answers. Now, last week we had a lot of smoke pointing in one direction, and I am going to show you another direction where there is even more smoke. And I want everybody to watch this all the way through. I kept this video short on purpose because you guys need to watch the entire thing. If you do not finish this video, you have not seen the full case that I am making for why this is the direction everybody should be looking. Doesn't mean that you don't have a nation state involved. Could be Israel involved somehow on the back end, inciting or whatnot. But we're going to talk about that a lot more later. And I want to be very clear with everyone. As you get into this video, you need to forward this to anyone that you know who is following this case so that we can get everybody on the same page. Because if everybody gets on, Candace has the biggest platform on the internet right now talking about this case. And I'm going to point you in I love Candace. I watch all of her stuff. But I'm going to point you in a direction that she seems to not be pointed in. And so it's important that if you think that this has merit, that you need to forward this. Make sure everyone sees it. Hopefully Candace sees it. Honestly, I would send it to her myself if I had the ability to send it and make her watch it, because she's dedicated to finding who did this. And these are some big leads to follow up on, like now. All right, so now let's get into the real video, and you will see me in this outfit again at the very end. When you see me in this shirt again, strap in for the biggest clue of all. After I have set all of this up, you have to see the whole video. And then when I show you this final thing, you're going to go, oh my God, man, like get the FBI over there pronto. Well, who is that strapping gentleman on the other side of the fence? I like the look of his jib. I bet he has a great sense of humor. Okay, so what we are going to do right now is we are going to take another look at some information related to the Charlie Kirk situation, because the Hunter Kozak, this kid that asked the final question, right? The one that was like, hey, man, is there any way that you could speak on the people who are trans shooting everyone? Charlie Kirk, right before trans persons shoot Charlie Kirk, assuming that that is what happened. A lot of information has come out about that guy. Now, I told you from the very beginning, I thought that guy's interview was super suspect.
The point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And as
super believable body language, guys. That's definitely how people hold their face when they're saying something genuine.
much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk. But like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that?
Now, if the words that were coming out of his face were genuine, I would be like, this guy's all right. You know, the problem is that I don't believe him, and I don't believe that is a sincere presentation of how he actually feels. I can very easily tell the difference between someone who is expressing how they feel inside versus someone who is saying words that they have rehearsed. That is very clearly something that he rehearsed. That doesn't necessarily indicate anything beyond the fact that maybe he's nervous on camera. But let's say that there were videos of him, I don't know, rehearsing his reaction to Charlie Kirk getting shot before Charlie Kirk got shot, and someone captured them on video that I'm going to share with you. We're also going to look at some very shady and very suspect connections that I have made since the last time that I looked at these guys. And again, not the least of which is that he was on the Unfuck America tour with Destiny that followed Charlie Kirk around, and all of them did nothing but rail against Charlie Kirk, and they despised it. They were laser focused on TPUSA and Charlie Kirk.
Conservatives have been disgusting for years, which is why I don't give a fuck about anybody that winds up at any of these rallies and gets shot or whatever the fuck.
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn. But
the entire world would be better off if these people were permanently removed.
Followed him around the country. They followed him around the country, probably, I would imagine, having conversations among themselves. Because check this out. Look at their website. Frequently asked, who is Turning Point USA? Turning Point USA is a far-right organization that brainwashes young people, predominantly young white men, into an alt-right red pill pipeline. Turning Point USA pushes disinformation, attacks public education, and fuels culture wars to divide, distract, and destroy. Their real mission: to build an army of alt-right robot voters while training the next generation of right-wing operative and silence anyone who fights for progress and humanity. They're targeting our communities, our campuses, and our future. Turning Point USA is building a youth-powered authoritarian movement, and they're doing it completely unchallenged and out in the open. So that is the ideology of the organization that Hunter Kozak was a member of, that followed Charlie Kirk around in all of these different cities. And I would imagine you know, in their little private speech, like their private conversations, I'm sure that many times they had conversations about how the world would just be a better place if these alt-right scumbags just didn't exist. If they just weren't around anymore, man. You know what I mean? If they just were gone, everybody would be better off. Let me see if this feels relevant to you guys. This is Destiny speaking about Charlie Kirk's legacy. He put this up himself yesterday, okay? Yesterday, okay? Listen to this.
Charlie Kirk will be largely untalked about and forgotten 2 weeks from now. Aside from the moral reason, this is also the pragmatic reason this isn't good. It just makes the movement stronger, no? No, that's a truism that's given, and I don't believe it at all. That like, oh, when somebody dies, they become a martyr and blah. No, bullshit. I don't think that's true. I think that people are powerful when they're alive. Other people might be able to take advantage of your death as you're martyred, but then that's on them to like become a big figure. But the idea that like Charlie Kirk will be largely untalked about and forgotten 2 weeks from now. I don't know what'll happen with Turning Point USA. That organization, I'm sure, will carry on in some way. Maybe they have some other leadership there that's ready to kind of like step up. But Charlie Kirk was an incredibly important and probably unique figure in U.S. politics, and his death will be I would imagine, a pretty significant blow to the conservative like college radicalization movement.
There you go. Those are Destiny's thoughts. And keep that in mind and make sure you watch to the end of this video just in case you see anything that would potentially be interesting to the FBI. And just in case there's any ambiguity about why Destiny is relevant to this, Destiny is the top bill of the Unfuck America tour, which we have been reading the website from. And Hunter Kozak is also right there from the Unfuck America tour. He's the last one who asked the question, like we just established. He's the one that did the shady interview. Okay, so we got a lot more to look at, though. You know what else would be interesting to the FBI is to know that you guys are still not subscribed to my channel when we made an agreement that you would subscribe if you were going to watch my content. So I'm going to call him, dude. I'll call Cash. Cash, put him in chains. What? Just kidding. But also like the video if you don't mind. And wait until you see this clip right here. Okay, this is one of the most damning things I have ever seen, dude. Okay, this is damning. And what I've been saying to everybody about why I feel so confident reading Turning Point USA, guys, and I'm like, I don't think these guys did it. Or the donor that Candace pointed at is because the weight of being involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk is so heavy that it's going to make people give it away through their behavior. And I think that's exactly what you're looking at right here in this absolutely damning clip from the day that Charlie got shot, which we're going to look at in a second. All right, here we go.
Somebody explain to me why this young man that was standing in front of Charlie Kirk is practicing being outraged at seeing Charlie Kirk get shot or assassinated or whatever before he even arrives at the event.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence?
This young man's name is Hunter Kozak, and for some reason, he was seen practicing being horrified by something. And then next thing you know, something horrifying happened 15 minutes later. So I want to ask you, do you think this was a coincidence? And if not, why would somebody be in the crowd practicing being horrified, and then out of nowhere, something horrifying happened, like he knew it was about to happen?
So obviously that would be circumstantial evidence that indicates that Hunter Kozak probably or maybe knew that something was going to happen. He was rehearsing his reaction in advance. That's what the indication is, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at his family background, who his parents are, how that would be related to another part of the Charlie Kirk case. But first, I want to remind you guys about something that I covered in my previous video, because we are trying to establish the smoke that would indicate that there was a large group of left-wing radicals that had foreknowledge that this crime was going to happen before it happened. And I want you guys to look at that one more time. And honestly, I am very curious in the comments if you guys would tell me if you think that what I'm about to show you is what I think that it is and what I propose that it is. So take a look at that, and then we're going to get into Hunter Kozak's family and their connections to another part of the case. Do you guys remember this incident right here? Now, remember immediately following Charlie Kirk getting murdered and the whole place diving down on the grass to be safe, and suddenly there was someone standing up cheering? It took me a while to find one of the videos of that incident where you could actually hear what they were saying, but I did, and I think it's rather interesting. That's right. If it was the leftist radicals, then that was them mocking us because this time they got the guy that they were trying to kill. So remember, in the comments, you tell me if that theory lands for you guys. Like if you see that and you go, damn, like I did when I first realized it, or if you think I'm crazy. I'm totally fine with I'm crazy. I'm totally fine with I'm crazy about all of this, to be honest with you. But there's still a lot more to go. A lot more smoke, right? And for the record, anybody who is a Democrat, even on the Unfuck America tour, okay, if we were overseas, anyone who's an American, if you're overseas and I see guys trying to drag you into the back of a van, I promise you, I fucking promise you, I will come to your aid and try to help you. We could go have a drink together afterwards, laugh, and then go talk shit about each other on the internet. You being an American matters a lot to me, okay? But if you were involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk, you have forfeit your citizenship as far as I'm concerned, and that puts you in a very, very different category. Now, let's take a look at Hunter Kozak's family.
Steve Kozak, the father of Hunter Kozak, has been working for Jimmy Kimmel for years. What are the chances that Hunter Kozak asks Charlie Kirk a very ironic question right before Charlie Kirk's life is taken in front of a live audience full of thousands of people? Jimmy Kimmel then gets brought into this by the media simultaneously dogpiling on him and making him the scapegoat because of his monologue, and then it turns out that one of the higher-ups at Jimmy Kimmel's show is the father of the last person to speak to Charlie Kirk.
Here's something else too, okay? What specifically did Jimmy Kimmel say that that led to him having to apologize and all that stuff? Okay, he said that the MAGA clan spent all weekend trying to pretend that the guy who got Charlie Kirk was anything other than another MAGA guy. So let's keep in mind, he got in trouble because there was something written into his script that was meant to indicate that it was not leftists that did it. And you have the kid who is the suspect of our investigation, potentially, the son of a guy who could control what's written into his monologue. Okay. So it's not just the fact that the guys, it's also the nature of what was in that show that's super suspect.
That's weird. You can't make this shit up, especially when you consider all of the other shady things that are going on with this case. It really makes you wonder.
Now, obviously, these are pictures of Hunter Kozak and his family at the Jimmy Kimmel show that were included in her video originally. How do these people get to a place where like a person like this could be like a suspect in a case like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's how wackadoo we've gone, and like, just to take a second to make a different, like a separate point. Okay. Like Gabrielle and I were talking about this a second ago, and I like in the show, we were talking about on the right. Okay. What is the connective tissue that makes you a conservative? Like what are the things that are important to me that are probably also important to you that make, you feel either a conservative or an independent that is very disconnected from the left? I mean, I wouldn't even call myself a conservative necessarily. I'm just like, I have nothing to do with them. It's like family first, love America, look for the good in America, faith in some cases, and autonomy over your own life if you are an American. Don't let the government come meddle. Like those things. Those are why this stuff's important to us, right? Okay. What unites the left? Like, what is the thing that unites all of these different groups on the left? Because right now, the only thing I can recognize, the only conversation I ever have with anybody who's a Democrat, regardless of how smart they are, is hatred of Trump and the right. That's it. Like, that's it. There's not, like, that's the only way the conversation ever goes is them. It is, what about Trump did blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring, man. What does that have to do with anything? Like, what does that have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about over here. It's all of them. It is a psychosis. Every single one of them. The only thing they can see is hate for Trump and then, by extension, Trump supporters. And you're like, I don't know what to, I don't know what to do with that, man. I really don't. And they can't even like throw off a fucking candidate at this point who has expressed the desire to murder people who are on the right. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not too far for you guys at this point. Crazy.
We had a mandatory, regularly scheduled all-staff HR meeting on Zoom. They did it on Zoom, and this is the Zoom. And if you look closely, you can see Guillermo Zoom in on that on the Zoom.
Now, this is pretty small on the screen, but what you're looking at is the proof that his father is directly related to the Jimmy Kimmel show. And now, again, you're looking at him getting ready to apparently react to Charlie being assassinated when it had not happened yet. And then you'll see right here where it's like, okay, yeah, oh, this is exactly what I rehearsed.
Yours was the last.
So I actually saw on one of these posts, people are like, you got to be joking. It's another angle of the same thing. No, it's not. That is not another angle of the same thing. Do not let anyone tell you that that's what that is. That is obviously not that. Just because someone wrote it on X doesn't make it true. It's very obvious that that is its own. You know, where he goes like this, really quick. Very obvious. And then when it happens, that's not how you would behave, man. That's not how you would behave.
Question that Charlie Kirk ever heard.
Yeah, there's a strange amount of weight to that. I don't really know how to grapple with that. I mean, he's answered tens of thousands of questions, and that was the first question I've ever asked him. We never talked before that.
And now let's start tying some bows on this potential conspiracy.
And do you remember when Destiny said this about Charlie Kirk?
Conservatives have been disgusting for years, which is why I don't give a fuck about anybody that winds up at any of these rallies and gets shot or whatever the fuck, okay? Because they had no problem making fun of Paul Pelosi. The entire world would be better off if these people were permanently removed from these platforms.
Well, maybe Destiny was just upset. Maybe that was just a one bad day, right?
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very, very strategically minded.
Hey, maybe it was just twice. Never a third time, though, right?
Need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events. Conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events.
Wait, so you mean to tell me the dude that's literally been basically pretty much threatening to assassinate Charlie Kirk, has a kid that's part of his Unfuck America tour and is pretty much the spokesperson for it, is front row speaking to Charlie Kirk when he gets assassinated, practicing how he was going to be responding to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated moment?
Now, one other thing that I wanted to show you before I show you the final clip that is the end of my circumstantial smoke that this is a direction everybody should be looking case, okay? Do you see what's behind Destiny right here? Just so we're clear. This is where he streams every day, okay? He has his gun case, gun rack, like lit behind him. His backdrop is a bunch of firearms, okay? Like, clearly this isn't a person who's super concerned about law enforcement ever knocking on his door. Look at the, this is, again, I showed this in one of my videos last week, just that it was like a throwaway video that I was doing about Hassan Piker and the dog collar gate, where Destiny actually had a really funny joke on X. But this is how he responded to JD Vance, finding out that JD Vance wanted to have him prosecuted under the new, crackdown on people saying, inciting violence. He found that out and then tweeted at him, absolute pussy bitch, and then tagged JD Vance. So my feeling is that his fear of ever being in handcuffs is pretty low. You know what I mean? It doesn't strike me as a guy who's super concerned about ever ending up in cuffs, which would further indicate we should probably take a look at the guy. Now, one final thing to look at, okay? Now, I've showed you guys this before, but if you haven't seen it, and even if you have, with this context that we've talked about, watch it again, okay? This is the day that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, okay? Destiny was streaming and someone called in. I have found out that the person who called in is Z, who is the organizer of Unfuck America. Full disclosure, I actually spoke to this person, but I will tell you that story after we watch this one more time, okay? Now, the reason we're watching this is because someone pulled this from that stream and sent it to me, and they were like, what does Destiny not want her to say? Because he puts her on speaker, and I don't think that she realizes that he's live streaming, and he is afraid she's about to say something that he doesn't want her to say on the stream, and so he talks over her. And so, again, then I will show you that, and then I'll tell you what my hypothesis is that ties all of this together.
Did you see what happened?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like, dude, Charlie's gonna be fucking dead.
I'm pretty sure he's already dead. Yeah.
Dude, we're fucked. We are so fucked.
By we, you mean we as a country right now, the United States and the current...
Like that, the party, but like mostly
also,
like...
Yes,
like,
wait.
probably
I think that we're super fucked. I agree. Hold on, wait. I'll text you on Discord. I just don't want to say anything crazy that's gonna ruin our shit. Hold on. Okay. I just want to be... I can be edgy because that's my brand. I just want to be careful. I don't even know if she's going to say anything edgy. Probably not. I don't think she would have. I'm just...
So if I were in charge of this investigation, I would go to Discord and be like, why don't you go in, give us that transcript. What did he say to her when she said that? Now, I have the original ending that I filmed, which I'll show you in a second, but I wanted to put this in at the end. This is all just circumstantial, very suspicious behavior that doesn't prove anything in a court of law. But the point that I'm making here also is that the stuff that Candace is covering shows shows motive. Like, that's literally all we have. Okay, that's all we have on the other side is like motive. You have motive. He was leaving the pro-Israel lobby after they give him a bunch of money, and he was like, "I'm out, dude." Right? That would be the motive. Okay, well, we have motive here. We have motive here too, right? Outside of motive, what do you have that indicates that it was a state actor that did this themselves? Now, could they have been involved in inciting it? I don't know. But here's your motive right here. Okay? Here's your motive right here. This group genuinely believes that Charlie Kirk was radicalizing the entire youth of America. Okay? All you need is a handful of people who believe that Charlie Kirk is an existential threat to the United States. And suddenly, maybe some of them get brave enough to do this. I'm not saying necessarily that Destiny, was calling people and letting them know, like, okay, I want you on the roof. I want you on the roof or whatever. Okay. Hunter Kozak, the indication would be that he knew that this was coming. I have no idea if Destiny told them to do it, whatever, or if just they built a culture that pounded into people's brains that this is what Charlie Kirk represented in the United States. Okay. And then all of a sudden, who knows? And then this, to me, okay, could very well indicate that in a group that they were privy to, someone had talked about it, and Destiny, or one of them, may have known in advance that this was going to happen. Or she could have just been calling, and she was going to say, like, our donors are going to be like, what are we doing now? Charlie Kirk's gone. Like, I just gave you all this money for you guys to do the Unfuck America tour. Maybe that's what she meant. She's fucked. And then he was just protecting her from saying something because she didn't know she was public. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes, though, listen, if you want to use the rhetoric that conservatives, you don't give a fuck if they get shot, the world would be better off if they were just deleted from the internet or whatever. Okay, if you're doing it just for clicks, fine. But you are going to be suspected when one of the most prominent ones gets murdered. You know what I mean? Or you might have single-handedly incited somebody to do it. You know what I mean? Like, somewhere people get the idea that Charlie Kirk was such a massive hate-filled whatever that, I mean, you read the stuff that these people say about him, like, it's obviously not true. You know what I mean? Like, it's obviously not true. There is no person who has ever spent any time, like, watching him, like, the long-form version of him, that could possibly call him a hateful person. He's proven that wrong 1,000 times. And just in case anyone wants to say that about me, I can't be more clear about this, man. Okay, the reason I ended up speaking to Z, the Unfuck America tour person, is because, she reached out to me through this big group that I'm in and asked if I wanted to debate people. And I spoke to her and I was like, hey, I saw what you said about Charlie Kirk after the assassination. I really respected what you said, because she said anybody who's like celebrating or whatever needs to unfollow me. Okay, and I started like a really genuine conversation with her, trying to I like to find common ground with people. I'm not trying to fight with people, dude. Now, why don't you watch the original ending to this video? You want to know the purpose of this video? Is to demonstrate that there is a lot of smoke in the opposite direction from the direction that we're looking at, like TPUSA. Really? Like, we're looking at TPUSA? How about these guys, dude? How about these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a lot of indication it happens to be left-wingers, dude. Left-wing radicals. They literally they were following him around. They believed that this was a radicalization, whatever, like college radicalization tour. And if Charlie was gone, his legacy would not exist anymore, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, like, come on, man. And with that, I bid you adieu for this video. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Bye-bye.